I wasn't going to say anything this morning, but then I just at this moment had this kind of inspiration to briefly speak a little bit more about honoring the flip side of things. Just having had a brief conversation with a few different people, recognizing how the external movement, the motion, the expression outward, and the various forms that this manifests as is so broadly held up to be the good thing, the better thing, the thing you should be doing, the thing you should be doing all the time, the thing that should always be. It should somehow always be this motion, this extension, this expansion, even down to order versus disorder, that it should always be order, it should always be neat, it should always look this one way, and when the other way happens, somehow it's wrong. Somehow something's gone wrong, and now you have to fix it. Now you have to try to get it back and turn it into this other version, but it's not supposed to be this other version. It's supposed to be balanced. There is supposed to be, intended to be, designed by nature, an out and an in, an opening and a closing. And it's not a bad thing. It is not a defense mechanism. There is this perception that I feel, at least in popular culture, certainly Western culture, that to be alone, to be isolated, to be withdrawn and quiet, that something is wrong. That state, that way of being, is a problem. It indicates a malfunctioning, and that somehow it must be treated. It is a problem to fix. It's a disease to be treated, and we have to be drawn out of this shell. And I'm certainly not going to say we should be in the shell all of the time, because again, it's about balance. It is about honoring both. But there has to be both. There is nothing inappropriate or incorrect or dangerous or problematic about withdrawing, about the cloistering period. It is not a defense mechanism so much as it is a natural move to restoration. You can't be awake all the time. Like, this is demonstrated in every area of being and nature. It's this hyper focus on going, being constantly awake, constantly doing, constantly moving, and not honoring the rest period, not honoring the fact that your body physically needs to rest, that other things need to rest too, that in the rest is where the restoration happens, right? That those words are connected. To shell up is not a defense. When the bear goes into hibernation, that's not a defense mechanism. When a clam is closed around a grain of sand, you could say, to a certain extent, absolutely, that there's a protection happening there, but it's so much more than that. It's so much deeper than that. There is a process. There is a transformation taking place inside, and it can only take place inside. When a butterfly, which is not yet a butterfly, but just a caterpillar, goes into the cocoon, it's not to protect itself. It's for a different purpose. It is for the purpose of restoration and transformation. And these are things, this new growth that happens can only happen in an isolated space. That is the purpose of the womb. What is the womb other than this encapsulated, sealed container, essentially? Flowers, every plant life, all of the flora that exists begins under the ground, buried in something, in the darkness, in the stillness, in the silence, isolated from, separate from everything else around it. And there's this necessary period in which it stays still and quiet in that space, alone. And only from that is the new growth able to happen. There is something magical and special and important and natural about the sealing off, about the closing off, the withdrawing, the hibernating, the isolating, the cloistering. It is only in this space that true new growth is allowed to seed and take root. And then there is the natural outburst as well. It's all a part of the process. There will be a period of thawing, a period of relaxing, of opening up again, of the exhalation when the roots have grown down within deep enough, and now it's time for things to sprout forth, to come out of the surface. It's time for the shell to break. But that happens naturally, and to try to break that shell, to try to draw the life back out while it's in there, hibernating, sleeping, taking its much deserved and much needed rest, so that it has this energy to transform and to emerge anew. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. It's no wonder so many people are so burnt out, because we keep villainizing, demonizing, just judging the other part of the process, the other side of this equation. We keep judging the rest as inappropriate, that somehow we should always be going. No, nothing in nature is designed that way. The seasons themselves reflect it. It's not spring and summer forever. There has to be a period where things change and everything is drawn inward. Everything lowers. It's a lowering of energy. It's a lowering of temperature. It's a lowering of activity. It's a movement into this stillness, this state of almost suspended animation. And it is so important and so necessary to honor. And we don't do it very much. At least in modern Western civilization. I know it's true in other places too. But I just, in honoring this in this moment in myself and feeling the call to withdraw, to really literally do nothing, the bare minimum. It is like a hibernation. It is just like the body lowering itself to that state where it's just keeping things online. That's it. We're not doing anything extra. There is no extra effort exerted here. We're just doing the bare minimum to keep things going, and the rest of the effort is focused on no effort, is focused on doing nothing, is focused on just being, existing, still, silent, solitary. That period is so important, and it is so beautiful. It is so precious. And it's time for all of us to honor that, to honor the in-breath and really embrace it for what it is. Because it's only with this inhalation, this contraction, this ebb, that we can have the flow, that we can have a beautiful and meaningful and natural outburst and new growth. of energy. That's it. That is all I want to say. And now I'm going to go back to sitting in silence.